You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast. Two friends since JB ran away from all dogs with irrational fear, now guides on your nostalgic tour of Disney history, one magical film at a time. I'm Eddie Ferguson.
And I'm JB Waggoner. And on today's episode, we keep an eye out for international spy rings in our neighborhoods as we review the Shaggy Dog.
So fasten that safety restraint and pull up on the yellow strap. It's time to open the vault.
Cue that Disney-ish sound effect. Okay, Eddie, here's our 50th animal-related movie to review in this year. Basically, this is the year of the animal movies. I don't know if this is their animal phase that they're in. I don't know that it ever stops. But the train keeps going.
Well, you have to admit, like, Disney has had an overall infatuation with animals, from Dumbo and Bambi to, 101 Dalmatians and Robin Hood, even to the Lion King. Animals are a great thing to go back to and to mine stories from.
They just can't quit animals, Eddie. Especially when they can do live action ones and get the real ones in there, which they do really well, honestly. I think that's been the resounding truth that we've learned about Disney is they really know how to use real animals when they use them, unlike the gorilla suits, which they don't do very well. But you have found some interesting tidbits about the dog that was a part of this filming.
Well, I don't know about the dog, but like the movie in general, like this is Disney stumbles into something very interesting here with the Shaggy Dog. This becomes a winning formula for Disney. Like, there's a reason why they keep going back to animals. And the Shaggy Dog in general really establishes for Disney, a new way of doing things. This is the most profitable film Disney Productions produced up to this point.
Wow.
Because here's the other crazy thing. Are you ready for this? This is the second highest grossing film of the year. The only film that grossed more this year was Ben-Hur. Did you ever hear of Ben-Hur?
Little bit. Little film called Ben-Hur. Story written from our neck of the woods out in Crawfordsville, Indiana. But get this, Shaggy Dog was more profitable than Ben-Hur. Of course, because that movie took millions and millions of dollars to make.
Right. So Shaggy Dog makes $9 million on a budget of just $1 million.
Well, probably because they shot it all in black and white on cheap black and white film stock.
Yeah.
Which threw me off. At first I was like, wait, am I watching a television show? Am I watching a movie? I had to pause it and check my signals. I had is this okay? It says it's an hour and a half long. Okay, this is the movie, right?
My kids, because I watched it with the kids, and they were like, Daddy, something's wrong. The movie's all gray. The movie's all gray. So I had to pause it and have a little film history lesson with the kids and explain.
Of course you did.
And then it made me stop for a second and go, wait a second. No, we've had quite a few color films up to this point. Why go back? Why regress and go back to black and white, right? You hit it on exactly, because it is a heck of a lot cheaper to film on black and white. It is in the 50s, it was super expensive to film in color. And so the whole mindset behind the Shaggy Dog was how can we produce a film for as cheap as possible, but still make it, highly, highly profitable. And so one of the things that Disney starts here with the Shaggy Dog that will now be the standard, the template that they use for the next several decades. I mean, this is well into the 80s. And I would even argue even into the 90s. They do a couple of really interesting things to keep the cost down. They grab well-known TV actors, but who aren't famous in film. So high, recognition, but they don't have the film credits, so they don't have to pay them as much. They also grab these TV actors when they're on their summer hiatus, right? Because they're used to. I don't know if it's still that way with kind of streaming and everything, but all TV actors used to kind of have a summer hiatus, and so this was kind of a side gig for them. So they would even take even less, right? So they're getting well-known actors for a really cheap price. They have these repeat sets that they have set up on their back lot out on Golden Oaks Ranch.
Yeah.
And they're not building sets. They're just reusing the same neighborhood, street, everything for all of their films. So keeping it super, super low. And then every story is revolved around some type of gimmicky comedy. Boy who turns into a dog. Like everything kind of has a little shtick. It's got that little comedy.
The FBI's in every single one of them, just running around.
Yeah, there's some ambiguous international spy ring that we really don't know. There was a missile factory in their town apparently.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of this. I hate to say like fantasy, but like a little far-fetched, a little fantastical.
Not based on the true story of the last time that...
Not based on a true story.
Someone turned into a dog.
And this becomes the bread and butter of Walt Disney Productions, right? I think now we think of Disney as the big budget studio. Let's drop $500 million to make a movie, but hey, we'll make $3 billion off of it. That's not how Disney was built. Like that, Disney was built off of, hey, let's be cheapskates and film this in black and white when everything else is in color and make $9 million off of a $1 million film.
It's pretty incredible that that formula and just how far they've come now. They've like changed their identity to a huge degree. And we'll see that as we talk about Iger's latest earnings call later on in this episode. But yeah, coming out with black and white throws you off. But at the same time, it feels like a television show. It feels like something you would have seen on late after. Now, it does go very far in the direction of farce in the sense of just all of the spies that are involved. And you got the government, and then you got the car chase. It obviously goes to a whole nother level that actually was fairly quite enjoyable, I might say. That the ending of this, it just fully jumped the shark in every way, shape, or form. But it's just interesting you bringing that up, like how far they've gone from now. It's big name actors and actresses, crazy sets, crazy new technologies. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start trying some of these things again, at least start leaning that direction based off of how the past couple of years have gone for them.
Yeah. So they went away from this formula in the late 70s and early 80s. They saw what happened with Star Wars and they thought they could get into the game. They have the famous flop of Black Hole, which we will review when we get there. And when Eisner came in, he introduced what he called the singles and doubles formula.
Yep.
Where we don't need every film to be a home run. These can be just singles.
So this is
like
a wave.
Shaggy Dog.
This is a pendulum that they keep going back and forth on. It's like they make the cheap ones. Oh, we really want to get in on the blockbuster game. Oh, then back to the singles and doubles. Oh, now we got Marvel and now we got Star Wars. Maybe that's gonna pivot back. Maybe.
I would argue. I would argue that it's the Pirates of the Caribbean in 2003 that shifted
Great call.
that gave us modern Disney.
Great call. Yes.
That up until that point, we were getting, you had the Haunted Mansion before that. They weren't trying to make a blockbuster with Eddie Murphy in the Haunted Mansion. No. But you call in
Jerry
Bruckheimer.
Yeah.
You do and everything since Pirates of the Caribbean has been, let's spend the money to make the money. And it worked. It worked
for a long time. 2 decades.
15 years. Yeah, almost 2 decades. But I think they're now coming to that point where it's like, you're losing a ton on these movies. Yeah, why don't you go back, make some Shaggy Dogs, make some Mighty Ducks. That was Mighty Ducks. Let's get Emilio Estevez when he's at his cheapest. And boom, they stumbled into a huge hit on themselves.
So fascinating.
But, it is. It really is fascinating when you stop and think about it. But I think Shaggy Dog is an interesting look at that. You mentioned it kind of feels like a TV show. In part, Fred McMurray, this is his first in what would be 7 different starring roles with Walt Disney Pictures. Becomes a close friend and favorite of Walt Disney. All of the kids are from the Mickey Mouse Club. We just saw the 2 leading boys in Old Yeller.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see them again in Swiss Family Robinson. But let's speak about the true main character of this show. I don't know how to say. Chiffon is the character's name, but Sam the Sheepdog. Sam the Sheepdog does all of his own stunts.
This is what I was alluding to at the beginning of this. I wasn't wrong. You've got some special details about this dog. His own stunts?
I don't. I couldn't find anything. I'm looking there's something special about this dog. This is incredible. But my wife kept looking over at me and the kids the whole time we were watching this. And she's like, kids, this is a real dog really doing this. They're like, okay, mom, and she's like, no, kids, this is a real dog really doing all of this.
I was so baffled. There were so many times I was like, okay, when are we looking at, obviously when the dog is talking, that's like a puppet dog or something.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
No.
They used, yes. So here's what they did is they used beef jerky to get the dog to move its mouth.
No.
And then after they filmed it, they rewrote all of the lines to make sure that it matched more closely to the movements of the dog's mouth.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I can't believe he was actually driving the car. Just kidding. That might have been one of the few times where he wasn't.
But even the car, they're doing that on a sound stage with screens around the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the close-up, the close-up, but some of the establishing,
of course,
the wider shots.
Of course, the dog is not driving, but even the wider shots, they figured out ways to have the dog up and somebody else driving it. That's really a live dog sitting in the quote-unquote driver's seat.
Man, Disney, you guys are so inventive. I love this.
Because you think about it, it's cheaper to just get a dog to do it in scene than to try and do special effects
and PETA didn't have their power yet. So
sure. I'm sure it didn't. The Humane Society stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I doubt that they would have let a lot of the things happen. When the dog falls into the basket, and I'm like, did they toss the dog into here? What's going on here? But
yeah, I mean, here's what's funny. So I mentioned this is a huge success for Disney. Disney goes on to really, speaking of Disney repeating itself, they mine this IP for all that it's worth to steal from a future story here. They go on to make a ton of sequels to this.
I saw Shaggy DA that was on Disney Plus.
In 1976, they come out with Shaggy DA. Pause here to say we Friday night are like, oh, we'll watch this with the kids. I just type in really quick on the TV Shaggy Dog and click the first thing and click play, and didn't realize here in Costa Rica, Shaggy Dog is not accessible. I don't know why, but Shaggy Dog's not on Disney Plus here in Costa Rica, but Shaggy DA is. So we're like 25 minutes into this film, and I'm like, wait a second, no, this isn't the one that I'm supposed to. So I have watched now in the past 2 days both the Shaggy Dog and its sequel, the Shaggy DA.
Did you finish Shaggy DA?
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. It's you should watch it more or less, because in the Shaggy DA, they do not have the dog do as much. Somehow the PETA people got involved, and there is something that rivals the man in the gorilla suit sequences.
Eddie, you had me at gorilla suit.
There is obviously a man in a sheepdog suit scaling down a building on a rope. That is like,
oh my gosh. Yes, I'm in.
Oh my goodness.
Sign me up.
Did we just
take my money?
Yes. It's got Tim Conway in it. It's really, really funny. I don't know. We enjoyed both of them very much. So 1976, we get the Shaggy DA. This is when Wilby Daniels is now 45 years old, and like it comes back, the ring comes back, of course. And, it's really funny. There is a 2-part television movie that comes out in 1987. In 1994, there's another television movie that they come out with that they do. And then there's one in 2006 with Tim Allen.
Tim Allen. I barely remember this. Yeah.
We ended our last run of movies at the end of 2005. If we had just gone one more year, we could have watched Tim Allen in the Shaggy Dog.
That can be in our sequel to this series. Is we do that one.
Yeah. Plus, they re-released this original Shaggy Dog multiple times. They even go as far as to release a colorized version on VHS.
Did they actually shoot this in color and then release it? Or
no,
did
they colorized it.
Oh, that's some quality. It's always quality when they colorize.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. White. When they colorize a black and white, It's like,
No.
But yeah, like this is, I think the theme of this episode is just seeing the cyclical functions of Disney and how all the idea of just, hey, this was a hit. Boom, let's just use this as much as we possibly can. Let's have. Yep.
Whistle while we work. Yep. Whistle while we mine properties.
So
should we talk about the actual storyline, the storyline of this a little bit? Should we talk about the storyline of this movie? Because it's so bad, it's so good. Eddie, I was fully expecting to skip through this and just barely make it, but it was so absurd, and it kept us going throughout the entire way. Of course, you've got the whole, will the dad see the dog? Will he not? At first we all thought that, because I hadn't watched this in forever, like at my grandparents' house. I think it was the only time I had seen it. And they set it up like Wilson the mailman is going to become the dog. And so I'm like waiting for that to happen. They're like, it could have happened to anybody, but it happened to this family. And then they're talking about Wilson was a man who loved people but hated dogs. And like, why does he hate dogs? And then they reveal he's a mailman. I was like, perfect. This is exactly all the PTSD from dogs.
I'm a government man myself.
Yeah. And I yes. I also, the moment I got in this, I looked over my wife and I just said, I feel personally attacked right now, because I am Wilson in this movie, and I know Eddie's gonna somehow make light of that in our review of this film.
I put it right at the top.
Right at the top.
I put it right at the top of the episode.
It was perfect. And I was like, I'm with you all the way, Wilson. This is when he's irate that they gave a medal to a dog at the beginning. I was like, I feel seen. I have Wilson is my spirit animal person. I am with you, hook, line, and sinker. And then he has conniptions when his son Wilbur is talking as the dog, and he's just like, but one of my favorites though is when he turned to his wife and he was like, you wouldn't gang up. I know sometimes I don't think you have sympathy for my problem. And she's just like, Wilson, I think you better eat your eggs right now. Peak moment of his hatred of dogs and wondering if his family is out to get him. I
think you should eat your eggs right now.
I felt seen and validated, and I loved it. And that was even before the spies were involved in this. And then it just went, the car chase, everything went to a whole nother level. Full circle at the end with, you don't have a dog, we have a dog. And I was just like, this is incredible, this movie. So entertaining.
I love that at the beginning of the movie, you think he's the bad guy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You watch a movie with Lewis, he wants to know at the outset who's the bad guy. So, I mean, the whole time we're watching this, Lewis is trying to figure out who's the bad guy. So, so it's fun to watch because at the beginning, he thinks, okay, yeah, Wilson, the dad, he's going to be the bad guy. Whoa. And then about Act 2, you're like, Buzz is the bad guy. The best friend is trying to steal the girl. Oh my goodness, he's the punk, you know? And wait, there's
another
spies. One. The spies are the bad guys. And then in like the way it just kind of builds and escalates. I also enjoyed like the escapades of him as the dog grow, right? You go from him using the screwdriver to get out of the under the stairs closet, and like that whole little sequence, all the way up to the ladder, the dog scaling the ladder to get out of the goes down the laundry chute, uses a ladder to try and scale out, and like the whole time Sarah's standing there going, "This is a real dog, kids. This is a real dog. Really,
this is a real dog,
kids. Do you understand? This is a real dog. This and I'm like, honey, yes, we know this is a real dog. This is really doing it." And then we get to the car chase with all the police. And the way they build multiple the police officers' interaction.
That was perfect how they built him
walking out of the store.
Oh, yeah.
All of it.
His whole narrative of seeing the dog, not believing it, then believing it. By the end, when they're like, the dog just stole my car, it's totally believable. And they're like, let's get it. It's like this whole thing has been building up to them. And then you got the other police that are involved in it. And then the police chief, and like, it's just masterful. It's silly. It's over the top. It's absurd. And it works. I don't know why, but it just worked for me watching this story.
Well, I love that you said masterful, because all I can think about is it's a masterful 3-act structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you just see such clear, well-structured 3-act structure of a film, and like they build on each other so well.
And uncertainty,
there's great payoffs,
uncertainty of like at any time. It's built into the gimmick. There's uncertain of when is he going to turn into the dog? When is he going to turn back? So the whole time you're just waiting for that turn to happen, and you're like, oh, he's going down the chute. Maybe he's going to turn in after that. Oh, he get locked up. Maybe he's going to get there. Oh, maybe. And you just don't know. It was so beautifully done. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you felt that the tension, like oh, this is like, they're at the dance. He's dancing with the girl. Is he going to turn into the dog now? Like, and you feel it through that whole sequence. So when it does happen, you're like, ah. And then even the reverse of it, when he's in there listening to the spies behind the couch, you're like, is he going to turn back in? And then it happens and he tries to sneak out.
Even the little side quest of Buzz trying to make both girls feel like they're with him, which should never have even come close to working. And they did, it's obviously absurd, but they did just enough to go like, that's actually slightly kind of works in an absurd way if you just go with it. Like it wasn't, they just did enough and it was great. And then at the end, when they both realized what happened, like I just loved that. It was crazy, yet still was grounded in some level of believability of like, these types of people that will weed their way out of anything. You're like, how did that happen? Like we're smart people. And yet that somehow was plausible. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Here's what I think is magical about this film is it's not taking itself too seriously.
No,
obviously. Yep. It outside of even with international spy rings and everything, it's still a pretty simple story. Like it's not overly complex. Like you track with it well. Like you feel those tensions. You feel the stakes growing, but you never feel over the top, anxious or anything like that. And there's a little bit of something for everybody. Yep. There's just like the slapstick humor for the kids. There's like these funny one-liners for the adults. There's a little bit of action in there, just kind of keep everybody, involved
love
and
interested.
Like it's
young boy,
it's a straightforward,
young boys fighting over a girl, backstabbing each other.
Yeah. Like it's it's just it feels like a so timeless, straightforward kind of story where you're just like,
and in black and white.
How do I even say this?
They somehow pulled this off even with black and white.
It's a what is the word that I'm trying to say? Like it's just it's a wholesome movie.
Yep. I had a lot of fun with this one, Eddie. And it is funny. It starts off with a rocket going through the roof. We should have known it was going to go crazy when it starts off with, let's have them light their entire house on fire. And that wasn't even the craziest part of this entire film, which is funny. It starts with a bang and ends with a bang. Did you find any evidence of this in the parks at all? Like, do they have, like, I haven't seen anything Shaggy Dog in any of the parks, but I know that you are the guru, Eddie. Did you find anything?
Did you watch this with your wife?
Yes.
Did she realize there's a huge connection to her favorite attraction in this movie?
Whoa. No, breaking news. She didn't call anything out, at least.
The ghost host is in this movie.
Which one?
He makes a cameo. So his name is Paul Frees. He is not only the ghost host, but he's also in Pirates of the Caribbean. He's the one who says, "Dead men tell no tales." Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a well-known voice actor. Many called him the man of 1,000 voices. He's done a lot of Disney stuff, but he's most well known for his Disney park stuff. He's done a lot of different Disney parks things. His most famous of all is he's the one who does the ghost host speech at the beginning of the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
He's the psychiatrist.
Oh. They
give him this great little cameo where they put him in.
That's neat.
I think of that. To me, like, okay, I love that. But for Shaggy Dog to the parks, I don't know of any. I think that there may be like a poster or something like randomly somewhere. But I think what's cool is here we actually see the parks, a main character from the parks getting a little cameo in the Shaggy Dog.
Was the Haunted Mansion hadn't been opened yet? I'm assuming he had done some other things in the parks previously to this film.
Yes, yeah, like he's done quite a bit.
Okay.
He's
Gotcha.
the he's the original for Great Moments with Lincoln.
Okay, gotcha.
He's the original voice for Professor Ludwig von Drake. He's done a lot of different songs.
Oh, wow.
He did a lot of things that are no longer in.
Done a lot then.
Yeah. But his on-screen cameo was that one. Yeah.
Okay, Eddie.
But yeah, this movie predates Haunted
Some of
Mansion.
those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how are we going to rate this thing? Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I want to hear your rating first. I got to say I'm a little surprised how much you liked this.
Enjoyed
movie.
this.
I was a little nervous.
So,
I know you are Wilson. You do have,
I am
and
Wilson.
maybe one day you'll get your own.
Maybe we all will get a dog. Probably not likely.
Maybe your son needs to transform into a dog for you to learn how to love
how to love the canine friends. So I have gushed about this film and its storytelling and all of that. At the same time, let's not confuse this. This is not an amazing story to rival all stories. It knows what it is. We fully appreciate when movies do that. Like, the game you were playing,
what you are,
and do it masterfully and like hit it on the nose
and made the money.
And I already kind of said out loud what I felt about. I felt this was a super entertaining film. I was with it throughout most of it. I didn't feel like switching ahead a ton or anything like that. I don't think it is a must see for everybody. It's especially fun for people with young kids. But it is not on like, I think I used the word masterful. I probably should use a different word, but I was like, y'all did really good job on this. I don't think it's the best thing I've ever seen. Like story wise, it's silly, it's absurd, it's over the top. So I am probably going to stick with where I initially wanted to put it, even though I've kind of talked myself maybe higher, but I'm going to stick at a 3, entertaining. I kind of thought about putting it in classic, but I'm going to stick with 3, entertaining.
I'm going to inch it up to 4 and say classic, mainly because I agree with everything you've said from an entertaining standpoint, but I can't help but be influenced by how much this influenced the next 2 decades of Disney. Like,
okay.
This now we will see Disney try and repeat this magic formula of the Shaggy Dog, from The Absent-Minded Professor to, you name it. We're going to look at a couple of them.
I found the formula with this.
I think it's worth saying, actually, this kind of sets a classic Disney live action. Disney will now be known as the gimmicky live action comedy, family friendly studio because of the Shaggy Dog. So for me, it's a 4.
Okay.
Plus, I always have to be slightly more positive than you because that's just our dynamic.
That is our personal brands, and people have called that out. Well, now that we've called that out and you're filled up on your nostalgia, let's talk about a good bit of a modest amount, might I say, of Disney news. First off, let's just talk about this. We have another trailer for The Acolyte, which comes out June 4th on Disney Plus, the next Star Wars show.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the new Star Wars Lego movie.
Oh, that
where
too.
They remake the universe.
So,
and we have Darth JarJar. We get Darth JarJar.
They're leaning into all of the conspiracy theories with this. That's the only thing I saw, and I immediately texted a couple other Star Wars nerds, and I don't know why I didn't text you. You should have been right at the top of that list. But Darth JarJar Lego is everything that I
watched. I watched that trailer more than I watched the Acolyte trailer because I wanted to see like how many. Oh, they changed the AT-ATs. They went in and did. Oh, it's just,
I didn't even watch the trailer. I literally just saw the image of Darth JarJar and I was just like, yes.
You have to see the trailer.
Okay.
Do you guys watch a lot of the Star Wars Lego?
We've watched a lot of them. Yeah. Roger.
Crazy.
All of the
Droid Tales.
The Droid Tales. Love
his
that.
Autobiography.
By the way, Eddie, happy May the 4th. We're coming at each other a few days after May the 4th. So
we went all out this year at the last minute, like the night before.
That's the best time to do it.
Oh crap! It's tomorrow and it's a Saturday, right? So it's like we had a little bit of extra free time. So I woke the kids up and was like, "Today is Star Wars Day," and Lewis about like wet himself. He was so excited. He's like, "What do we got to do?" And I'm like, "Get your Star Wars shirt on." And he comes in and he's got Star Wars shirt. He's got Star Wars socks on. And he goes, "Daddy, I even have Star Wars shorts." And I'm like, "You don't own Star Wars shorts." And he has shorts with little stars all over them. And that's what he put on. So we did lightsaber pancakes. We did Yoda pasta, which was just pesto. I did colored popcorn, like for like red, blue, and green, all mixed in. I found all these like printable activities. We went all out for Star Wars. We watched the new Dude Perfect Star Wars video, which was epic. We went all in.
We just come back from a trip, so we didn't get to do quite as much this year. And in fact, I think it was middle of the day, my wife realized, wait, today's May the 4th. I just realized that as I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt, and I'd already talked to her about how I bought a ticket to go see episode 1 in theaters, which was great. I never got to see the original time.
Yeah.
It was in theaters. So we had a few things, and then we watched some of the Little Kid Jedi series on Disney Plus as well. So we did a little bit. We've done a little bit more in previous years. I guess we had also had blue milk. We had some leftover blue milk. I don't know if it's still good or we should have drank it 2 weeks later, but we did. But the news we originally started talking about was not just the Legos, but the Acolyte comes out June 4th on Disney Plus. We're a month away. That dropped a new trailer, and Eddie, the mask on the bad guy with the teeth and the mouth, chills. I was so amped. So terrifying. It's so terrifying. Amped.
What are they going for a higher rating? Like, is this, you know what I mean? Like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be.
Oh, you're talking about like mature? It's, like you're thinking that it'll be rated, rated mature or something? I thought it was intense and awesome.
I feel like that. Sure. But I'm getting excited about this, and I say it every time.
You were trying to stay out. You're trying to stay out of it, but you can't quit it.
I'm trying to stay out, but I just can't quit you, Disney Star Wars. I can't quit you.
This is the one area that I am less of a pessimist than Eddie is.
I've just got my hopes up too much. My nephew called me on May the 4th, and he's like, "I need your help, Uncle Eddie. They're trying to make me watch the new trilogy on Star Wars Day. And I'm trying to convince him we need to watch the good ones, the original ones." I'm like, "I'm right there with you, Joel. It's okay. It's okay. Here's what you got to do. Here's the arguments you got to do." And I'm like coaching him through convincing his family to watch Empire Strikes Back instead of Rey.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So next in the Disney news, we had another earnings call, which always gives us tons of sound bites from our favorite Iger right here. Big news. Our favorite Bob. That's what I was looking for. So first off, good news: Disney Plus and Hulu are profitable for the first time ever. We can applaud for that. Well done, guys. You just had to cut a bunch of content, take a bunch of losses, hike the prices up, and just
throw ads
and combining Hulu and Disney Plus into the same thing to really hook people. Now, if you throw all of streaming was not profitable because ESPN brought down their numbers quite a bit, but Disney Plus and Hulu profitable, big time. And that also comes on another big change that's going to be coming in a little bit in anticipation of ESPN's new streaming service that will be dedicated straight to consumer. Next year, I believe, 2025 is when that's coming out. But they've already said that they're going to put a modest amount of ESPN content that's going to air on Disney Plus. So I don't think it's going to be, I doubt it would be any like big pro sport games.
Are we talking games?
They haven't said
like 30
what.
for 30.
I believe this is live aired stuff, which that's the stuff that they haven't put on ESPN Plus. So I think we might see some live stuff. Maybe it's Sports Center. Maybe that's its first foray into it. We didn't get a lot of details over what exactly that's going to be, but they're teasing that soon we're going to get that. Kind of like what they did, bring Hulu into the Disney Plus universe, bringing ESPN into the Disney Plus universe. So
it makes sense to just make this behemoth one stop. Like if you're Disney and you own this much, if you have this much control over the market, just
this much IP,
be the what is it? The 800-pound gorilla just
in the room. Yeah,
just do it. Go for it. Yeah, just take it on.
So he also talked about Marvel. There's been a lot of talk about trying to right size however much Marvel we're getting in a year. And the big one is, again, what he's been talking about. They've been failing at the box office. We're getting too much of it. We're getting oversaturated. So he's doubled down again, saying he's moving to a new formula of 2 good movies a year, 3 max, and he made a very pointed of saying good movies, and then because they're focusing on quality, and then they're also going to do 2 shows a year, which is down from 4 a year. So that's, although they've already got 4 movies set for next year, so I don't know exactly how that's going to be panning out. Who's getting the bump? Who's staying? Don't really know.
Well, I think this starting with Deadpool 3 or Deadpool and Wolverine and 12 months on from that, I think we'll start to see what?
So maybe that's how they get around it, is like, well, we only did 1 this year, 4 next year. Boom. That's 2 movies a year.
Sure. Right. Well, and I guess a part of it, like, I wonder how much. I still wouldn't consider Deadpool and Wolverine a Marvel movie, right? Like, sure, it is a Marvel movie.
Because it started with Fox.
But this was an Well, it was an established franchise beforehand.
Yeah.
The formula for these movies, and I'm speaking this as someone, I haven't watched Deadpool. That level of rating content just doesn't interest me. That was all established outside of the Marvel Studios system.
Outside Disney, yeah.
We all know this is all Ryan Reynolds and his vision for this, right? What I'm nervous is that they're going to somehow view, of course, Deadpool Wolverine's going to be huge, right? All the stuff that's teased, it's going to make a ton of money. But I don't want them to somehow get a false sense of security there that, like, oh, Marvel's now on the right track. It's like, no, this really wasn't a Marvel-made movie.
Well, and if
3 still seems high, though. Doesn't 3 seem high to you?
Well, if you think about 1 in the spring, 1 in the summer, 1 near the end of the year, or 2 in the summer. They've done a lot of 2 in the summer. At first it kind of sounded like a lot, but that was like 3 movies. But they do spread these out. They usually like to have 1 in March or April, like in the March or February time. 1 or 2 in the summer, for that matter.
I would have been much, if they would have said 1 or 2 a year, I would have been like, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds right. Like if you want you want to take your time and actually make good movies, great stories, slow this down. Go back to 1 or 2 a year. That's when you were at your best, that's what you were doing.
So most of the headlines said 3 movies a year, but the quote really is he's saying 2 quality movies, 3 max. Sure. So it could be that it really is more the 2 rather than 3.
So. 2 shows.
2 shows. That's
interesting.
Well. Mm-hmm. 2 shows, 2 movies.
Are you starving for some more Marvel TV shows? Is that something where you're like, man, I could really go for a Marvel TV show? More Secret Invasion.
I'm not starving for anything Marvel right now. It's been such bad. It's like they were the restaurant that did me dirty. Too many like
KFC.
The restaurant,
food poisoning,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm a little gun shy, if I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more excited about Star Wars stuff, partially because we don't get very much of it. So that they're proving exactly why they should go to this thing anyways. And speaking of Star Wars, we're getting 2 big things this year with the Acolyte coming out June 4th. And then end of the year, we finally have some news on Skeleton Crew. The director of that came out.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah. Showrunner came out and said, hey, you're going to get Skeleton Crew in time for the holidays, which is great. I'm so excited. That's been the Goonies starring Jude Law with kids. Like there's a lot to like about this combination.
This is the one that they called like an Amblin-esque.
Yep.
Right?
An ode to
Amblin as an adjective. Yeah. So good. I'm like, yeah, I get that. I'm on board.
There's a modest amount of things to be excited about, Eddie. You can just be ready. Just a modest amount.
And least of which would be the fact that you can now get Captain America toys at McDonald's. Let's go.
It's so funny to me. Meal. I think you were the one that called out that like they plan these McDonald's Happy Meals like toys years in advance. So there was no stopping the train.
My kids are playing with Elio. They're playing with Elio toys going, when can we watch this movie? I'm like, I don't know if you ever will.
Yeah. We got them this weekend. I was like, Captain America. Which I was like, oh, because they planned these toys before all of the movies got booted last year. So they're a year ahead. They're a year ahead for that. Or I guess it's February. It's not quite a year. Last little bit, we got some little Bluey things to talk about. One of which is the creativity of Ryan Reynolds and his genius marketing. If you guys remember the Peloton reaction video, the reaction advertisement when the whole internet blew up about the Peloton ad and the Peloton wife. She gets a Peloton for Christmas and then uses that, and they're like forcing her to use all that. Like the internet hated it, and then Ryan Reynolds got that same actress to come on and do a whole ad for his gin, and she's like drinking herself to feel better after getting the Peloton from her husband. So he does it again here. With Zillow. So obviously everyone was so upset about Bluey's whole about the sign and about them selling the home and then not selling the home.
Wait, hold on. You sent me the Zillow commercial. I had no idea this is Ryan Reynolds marketing.
Ryan Reynolds is the one who created the ad, the ad for them. I don't know if he pitched them or whatever. Obviously he's not in a company that sells homes. So I
but
guess
he has a marketing firm. He's
got a marketing firm. So companies can be like, hey, make us an ad. I don't know if you pitched them, whatever, but it was his brainchild to do this commercial where it's a Zillow ad, but it's got a Australian narrator talking about the joys of selling home, but then also referring to how we all emotionally were torn by this. And then they've got the dogs. They've got the real life dogs, actual dogs.
The actual healers.
Painted healers throughout this. It was perfect. It was a perfect ad as everybody's losing their minds over homes. I've heard of people going on Instagram going, we're selling our home right now, and we were using Bluey to like help our kids like heal through this process, and then they don't sell the home, and then they're like, so we're not selling our home? No, we're still selling our home, and all of that catastrophe. It was just so. I love this ad. You got to go check it out. The
brilliant
Bluey
ad. It's a brilliant ad, and that they jumped on it and made it that quickly, because I doubt they had like an advanced showing of it.
No.
So to turn around something like that in a week, brilliant.
That's what he did. That's what he's great at. Is like here's an ad. Let's react to what's going viral right now. What is everybody dealing with?
Yeah,
that's what he did with the Peloton ad. That's what he did here. That's why he's a genius. He's a creative genius.
So good. Yeah. Hey, one last little bit of Bluey news. They are sticking it to Disney Plus. There was an episode that Disney Plus refused to air. What's it called? Dad Baby or something like that?
Baby.
And so Bluey just said, okay, Disney Plus, if you refuse to release it, we're going to put it out there for free on YouTube. So in the spirit of all of this new Bluey content, for the first time outside of Australia, the world can now watch this banned Bluey episode from Disney Plus free on YouTube.
I mean,
it's humorous.
It is funny. It is weird, but it's also not anything out of the norm. For what that show randomly does. Of like, oh, dad is having the baby, but it was just funny though. It was like, pretend to be that, and he's like, oh, my stretch marks, oh, my feet, oh my, and then she just like unloads on him with it. She's like rolling up the newspaper, ready to go to town, and just like unloads on him. Loved it. That was funny. And my kids were loving it. More Bluey. Great. This is awesome. They've been asking for more Dad Baby ever since then.
We haven't shown it to our kids yet. We had to take a break from Bluey.
Oh no.
We were bringing too much Bluey antics into real life.
Into real life.
It was becoming problematic, where Sarah was just like, we're taking a break from Bluey. And I'm like, I support you in this decision.
I support this decision. Well done. You've chosen wisely.
So we'll see in a week's time when we lift the Bluey pause,
the Bluey ban,
if we show them Dad Baby. Yeah.
Well, before we go, Eddie, I hope you and your family have a great, not good, but great, moderately good week.
I hope so. Last week we had first ever parent teacher conferences for our kids' preschool. Learned that our 2.5-year-old likes to strip naked and walk around school. And so our teachers were like, we don't know what to do. That's a wonderful conversation to have with your 2.5-year-old's preschool teachers about him just wanting to be
oh my
free.
Gosh. Is he like that at home too? I'm assuming he's to some degree like that at home.
Well, we're potty training, and
yeah. You know how like when you're clothes on and off, you gotta just go free.
Well, and he's the third born, so he's just taking his time to do everything, including potty train. So we have our good days, we have our bad weeks, and so you have a moment's notice to get him onto a toilet. It's just easier if he's not wearing any pants or anything. So he decided, hey, if I can do this at home, why can't I do this at school? So we're working through these things. We'll get there. We're working through them. But with that, I hope you all have gotten your weekly dose of Disney nostalgia, and we've caught you up on all this wonderful Disney news.
Be sure to subscribe to Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast, wherever you listen to your other favorite podcasts, and give us a look on YouTube as well.
While you're there, please like us and leave us a five-star review and share it with your best friend.
You can also check us out at our website, honeywemade.com, where you can see all of our nostalgic reviews of Disney movies.
Tune in next week as we review Pollyanna.
Ooh, excited about that one. Thank you for listening, and remember, be happy and keep a stiff upper lip.